Nobody likes to name drop as much as I do. I'm well aware that of myself, but I got to meet Roy Jones Jr., and that was a big thrill for me. I got assigned to the same card as Roy Jones Jr. Now I'm in the back. Now I'm in the locker room with him. Now I'm going to compete in the same ring on the same night. This is a big thrill for me, right? So I'm at this event and do a grappling match against Michael Bisping. That same day, Rey Mysterio in his final retirement match is going to take on Kurt Angle. They're going to pro wrestle. Rey Mysterio's had, I think, about 15 retirement matches, but it's one of these cool things. Roy Jones is going to box. We're going to do some grappling, some pro wrestling, some boxing. All the same night. We're out in Arizona. We're staying at the same hotel. Go down for breakfast in the morning. Talk to Roy Jones Jr. He's down there. And Roy's opponent, at no point in this do I want to disrespect this opponent, or do I want you guys to take it this way. This guy was a great guy. I got to meet him. He showed courage. But basically, it was a marketing ploy where a fan was going to be able to fight Roy. Now, that fan, to have the commission allow it, had to prove that he had a background and could be in there with Roy. But it was still a sweepstakes. You still entered it. You did it online. It was just an attention-getting. The gentleman who ends up winning had a 5-3 MMA record. 5-3 MMA record. Tremendous courage by this person. I tell you, I'm not giving him a hard time. I'm comparing him to the greatest boxer of the 90s. They don't say that about anyone, by the way. If I asked you who the greatest boxer of the 90s was and you loosely follow boxing, you will say Roy Jones Jr. And so will every pundit and fellow boxers of any weight class. If I asked you who the greatest boxer of the 60s was, you don't have an answer. You might have an opinion, but there's not an answer. There's not a collective answer where majority and overwhelming majority rules. The same would be said for the 70s. You look at the 80s, there's still great debates between Hernard, Hagler, Duran, Leonard. I'm just sharing for you, Roy Jones was the best boxer of an entire decade. He's going to take on a guy who hasn't boxed before, but he's got some experience. He's 5-3. Let's say the guy was 26 years old. So when I'm down with Roy in the lobby, getting breakfast, he shares with me that he has concerns about the match. And his concerns are specifically about the awkwardness of the angles that MMA guys throw their punches from. And I was stunned. I was stunned. I mean, I'm standing with Roy. I know I can whip the guy that Roy's getting ready to box. And I know I can't whip Roy. And I'm literally thinking this. I'm going, wait a minute. I have such a tremendous respect for boxing. Such a tremendous respect for boxing as a striking art. You're going to go out there and you're going to strike against a guy from a sport who does okay in his own sport that doesn't have a complete emphasis on boxing, or at least on striking of any kind. Forget about the leg kicks, the elbows, the knees. Not a complete, right? It's just an interesting comment. And I've never forgot it because he specifically said the angles. Okay. Well, Tyson Fury talked a little about that leading into his match with Ngannou. And if you watched Tyson Fury do interviews and build up for Ngannou, Tyson was extremely aware of the problem that he had, which is, I'm a scumbag for taking this fight. I'm the greatest heavyweight to ever live, and this guy's never done it. Oh, by the way, he's coming off of an injury. Oh, by the way, I have a whole other contract signed. But it's very relevant because Tyson's a solid performer. He's solid. He's not great. He's great for that sport that has no performers. So when Tyson comes out and he's trying to work the audience, it was just too clear. Well, Francis is the baddest dude in the world, and he's got a documented punch that's harder than any man out there. You can tell he's trying to sell because he knows he's going to go out and clean this guy up in 45 seconds. That's what he truly believed, and he was attempting to convince the audience. Trying to sell the fight. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But there was a body language. Tyson Fury would not be a good poker player. He has tells. And that's okay. As I stated, he's not a great performer. Now, he spoke differently, both with his words and within his mannerisms, his body language. When he talked about concerns that he did have for the awkwardness of the combinations and styles of an MMA fighter. And Tyson's father used Jon by example. Guy, he's great. I would love to meet this guy. You want to talk about performers, okay? Old Man Fury is truly a delight for me. He is a treat to get to watch him perform. But the old man chose to take umbrage with a workout, a mitt workout that Francis Ngannou was working on. And I did not see what the old man saw. I did not think Francis looked out of step and clumsy, but I've also seen Francis shadowbox a number of times. I've seen him do mitt workouts a number of times as part of warm-ups and or training for his MMA. It looked very consistent. And when I saw Fury teasing him, I thought, well, what did he see? I mean, there's not a gracefulness. That's true. There isn't a fluidness. There's not, right, he's not moving. He's not Mayweather. Which would also extend to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury for heavyweight moves. Oh, he's beautiful. It's shocking how well he can move. His feints, the way he really moves. His shoulder rolls, his awkwardness, he'll switch stance at times. He's truly an incredible boxer. So Jon Fury, who's used to seeing that every day, maybe he did think there was something here with Francis, but there was also another side. When Francis was hitting those mitts, it was new combinations. Had a real emphasis within all the training footage that Francis put out of body shots. And he was also big, and he was also strong, and he was also imposing. I did not see those workouts and see the same teasing that Old Man Fury did. But as we look back, the old man, I believe, would agree with me and say, well, look, when I saw that, that is also how Francis fought. That wasn't a joke. He wasn't putting out a joke piece. I mean, people put out joke pieces. John Hackleman specifically did not like cameras on his guys. And the second that red light went on, take Chuck Liddell specifically, they would start playing. Chuck would do this a double punch. I mean, he did it almost every time if you watched this fight, but Hackleman would let him know, right? He had some kind of signal, whatever he said to Chuck. Coach Hackleman would see that light come on, and Chuck knew, don't do. So I'm just sharing with you, that's not what Francis was doing. He was just getting a workout in, and he put it out to the world. But I do think that the old man, Fury here, would come out and say that awkwardness is exactly what he went out and did to us. One of the things that happened in this fight, Kay, and you got to understand, this is the story going in. You have to never forget, right? Don't let them take this from us, guys. If you're on the side of MMA, or you're on the side of Francis, or you're just on the side of justice to pugilism, the dirtiest sport in the history of sports, the first sport, and to this day there's only two, that a democracy, a government with a democracy, a sport is so dirty that government had to get involved. Nowhere in the free world does government oversee sport. They do in communist nations. Nowhere in the free world does government oversee sport except here and except in boxing, which then extended to MMA. All right. But this is how dirty the sport is, okay? A couple of things were going to happen. If it goes to a decision, Francis is going to lose. Don't have to worry about that. Don't have to worry about corruption. It's not going to get to a decision any more than McGregor's going to get to a decision with Floyd. Francis is going to be exhausted. He just doesn't know how to do this. He might come out and do a great job just like Conor. He can't do it for 30 minutes against this level of competition. These things were all very wise. If you were to bet on this, you're very wise. There's nothing surprising about this. And moreover, the reason he's going to get exhausted, he's just not used to these movements. It's not to say that Fury's in better shape. He can't go out and do these movements. Well, what was a shock is he didn't do those movements. Tyson Fury as a heavyweight has as good of feints. In fact, I believe the best feints ever for a heavyweight. I don't think Klitschko's feints were anywhere near this. Muhammad Ali had a lot of great setups, but not feinting specifically. Mike Tyson never feinted anybody ever. Just to put a perspective for you. He was search and destroy. Come out, boom, boom. There was no fakes. Tyson Fury, he'll flinch and he'll make guys jump. But you got to understand this from an X's and O's standpoint. Okay, when that's what you train, when every day you flinch, you do some type of a movement to get a reaction from your opponent. Boom, boom, boom. And that's where you see the opportunities. Maybe he comes here, maybe he comes here, maybe he rolls this way, maybe he closes his eyes, maybe he steps back. You have a combination for every single reaction that that person could do off of your feint. Tyson Fury will not hit a heavy bag until he feints it first. It's neuro, it's psychological. He can't do it. He cannot let it go until he feints first and then gets a reaction. He is trained. It doesn't matter if he's done this from 7 years old or not. He was trained starting at 7 years old. I feint, you react, I attack based on your reaction. Rinse and repeat. All night long or until you can't take anymore. It's important that you understand this concept, right? I mean, boxing is not something that very many people understand. But you do understand feints and flinches, right? People do that on the school bus. They do it in the schoolyard. They flinch and they are two for flinching, and then they right in the jerk like punches you in the shoulder or something. If you had an older brother, certainly you've been flinching, two for flinching, right? It's a very real thing. It doesn't change in the pros. Your flinches just have to be much better. It also get a guy very tired. It'll get a guy very tired when you're spooking. Get a guy very tired when you're spooking him. Best offense is a defense. You're attacking him, he's not attacking you, or you're pretending to attack him. You're feinting him, he's not attacking you. Francis Ngannou didn't fall for a single feint. You must understand if you're trying to break this fight down and look at the things that Francis did so well. And how did he do them? And it was tough. Where boxing wanted to go instantly was the quick lie. The lie for Mayweather versus McGregor was easy because Floyd helped it. To this day, Floyd will say, I carried him. Whew, thank God you're a boxer. You just go, oh, he carried him. The only reason that was close is because Floyd was carrying him. It's a complete lie. It's quite literally against the law, by the way. But when you're in Nevada, you can admit to breaking the law. The commission will do nothing to you. And that's what happened here. It's important that you understand that. If Fury would have said those words, it would have been such a relief to boxing fans. The problem with the excuses that you're even seeing today is Fury didn't say them. As a matter of fact, he said the opposite. He said, I trained 12 weeks for this fight. I've never trained 12 weeks for anybody. He said that was the hardest fight I've had in a decade. He pissed all over Klitschko and White and Wilder 2 times. All of them. And he took the excuses away. I appreciate it about Fury. But that was one of the biggest problems. Aside from the power of Francis, Francis walks right across the ring and stood his ground. Now, none of us knew that he would do that because it's all about a moral victory. For every second that he's out there, let alone a minute, let alone what if he could get around him? What if he could get 2 rounds? And oh my God, they'll never see the 4th round. But I'm just saying, this is the win for Francis. How can I just survive? So when they rang that first bell and Francis is the one that came storming across the cage, whoa, to the point that Tyson had to move. My God, what's this guy doing? It threw him off. When Tyson got his foot and he started moving around, right? He moves real well for heavyweight. Francis wasn't moving like that. Francis wasn't expending a lot of energy. Tyson would do the feint. Francis wouldn't fall for it. Tyson then is not able to get his offense going. He's been trained from youth. I feint, you react. I come here based on your reaction. You come here, whatever it is you do, I come off of, I feint, you react, I attack. Francis didn't react. I couldn't believe when I was seeing it. And I can't figure it out now. Is Francis so damn good? Which is a possibility. You wouldn't predict that since he didn't put an emphasis in this. Is he so damn good he wasn't scared when he reacted? Or was he so inexperienced? I will tell you guys, if you've never done jiu-jitsu, just as a comparison, if you've never done jiu-jitsu, one of the things that you need to learn is how to tap. It's not natural. You might think it is. Oh, somebody got me. I would just tap out. Well, but it's not a natural reaction. You actually have to learn to tap. That's a natural reaction. Stop. That's a natural reaction. When you see 2 guys fight in street fights, which is disgusting, but they film this stuff, they put it on social media, you don't ever see somebody tap. It's not a natural reaction. I'm just sharing for you, these things have to be learned, things that you might take for granted. Is that why Francis didn't do it? I don't know. I don't have the answer. but I know he preserved a lot of energy. I also know it's what allowed him to control space. So many guys, they flinch, the other guy moves, or the guy moves, or he jumps backwards. Francis stood right there. He didn't fall for it at all. Third round, fourth round, fifth round's coming. Francis is in the corner. His mouth is closed. He's breathing through his nose. It was incredible. It really was something incredible. I appreciated that Tyson has not offered any excuse. And Tyson didn't need to go the next step and say, look, that's garbage and he should have won. He didn't have to do that. I hoped that he would have. I wanted him to do that. But it's very hard when you got Usyk that's about to come in and face off and you already got a contract signed and business has got to move forward, right? There's a number, I don't blame Tyson for not doing it. I just wish that he would have. You then have the WBC president. I got to call him that because I have the foggiest idea what his name is. In fact, the headline that I got this from didn't even state his name. I'm not sure anybody knows what this guy's name is, but the WBC president comes out and says, Francis Ngannou is now going to be a top 10 ranked heavyweight. That is so problematic. Like, as much as you're trying to fix the wrong, if there was a wrong and you had sanctioning power, bring the judges in and fix it. You have that ability. Not even discussing that. You're going to make him a top 10 heavyweight. The reason that's a problem, I saw that too. I saw a great guy. Who are you going to replace? For the guys in the top 10, for Francis to go, you didn't say where he's going to go. You just said in the top 10. Let's imagine it's number 9. Is it number 6? Is it number 8? Who are you going to bump off the list? And moreover, I mean, just from a prestige standpoint, have any of you boxed? Have you boxed professionally? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you have. Okay. All of you that did not have a better professional boxing record than Francis. You're 0-0. He's 0-1. How do you put him in the top 10? Now, I saw what you saw. I get it. I'm just sharing for you, for a president of a controlling organization to make that claim, I'm going to put a guy in the top 10. I'm going to bump somebody when the guy's 0-1. It's disappointing, the state of boxing. It's admirable, the state of Francis Ngannou. He has not complained. He's not going to complain. He was proud of what he did. He said before the fight, and he said after the fight, calmly and as a gentleman. If there's anything I've observed from Francis in this whole debacle, getting out of the MMA contract, the way that he said everything, putting the belt back, everything that he did, he stayed a gentleman, didn't he? He stayed very calm, didn't he? He stayed calm in the ring when he was competing. He stayed calm in the ring when he was doing his interview. He said, I know how boxing works. I know I could have beat him if it went to a decision. I'm proud of my performance. It's a special guy. It's a special night. WBC president is a special kind of stupid.